Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to today's episode on Dangerous African Confessions HD. In this episode, we have a story from our sister Sarah where she shares with us her life journey and how any man she meets and settles down with dies. She tells us how life has been so unfair and difficult for her.
Only me, a young lady. In about 2 to 3 years, I have married twice and all the men are dead. This was a bad omen for me. So, I became a church rat. My life was all about church. From my work, then to church. That was all the life I knew. During this time, something funny started happening to me. I don't know where it came from. I started having this strong feeling for my pastor. This was the same pastor that officiated my 2 marriages. One day, I went to him in the house and told him that I liked him and wanted us to make love. He laughed and told me that he knew I would come asking for that. I didn't take the comments he made serious. All I cared was to quench the fire that was burning in me, which was to sleep with him. So, we started having a romantic affair. And in no time, I was pregnant.
She explains to us how and why any man who comes home to seek her hand in marriage ends up dying in a mysterious way. As part of our policy, I've edited the names to hide their identity. Please kindly subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. Without wasting much of your time, let's go and listen to the story.
Hello, my name is Sarah, and I wanted to share with you this message, so that you can share with the rest of the world. It is all about what I have been through in life. Hoping that my sisters out there can learn something from it. It happened that I met this guy who promised to marry me. In fact, we loved ourselves very much. It didn't take much long for us to decide to marry. Since we so much were in love with each other. We announced it to our church authorities and they said that, the date that we have chosen, when they checked and consulted the pastor, our date will clash with the particular church program. So, they asked us to go ahead with the traditional marriage and then fix a different date for the white wedding. So, we had our traditional marriage and was waiting for the date that the church had given us. The main wedding was in 2 weeks' time. I and my husband agreed to the date the church gave us, and went ahead with the traditional marriage. And was just waiting for the day to come so we can have our white wedding. But then, 3 days to the wedding, my husband told me that he was going to the village to thank his family members and plan with them how they were going to come for the wedding. I told him not to go, for it was just about 3 days to the wedding. Because there were a lot of things to plan. But then, he told me he won't spend much time in the village. And was going to return the same day. So, I agreed and he left. So, in about an hour time, I had a call that my husband was involved in an accident. I rushed to the hospital that they told me he was admitted. I got to the hospital and I saw there was this cloth covering a body in the ward I was told my husband was. I went in and removed the cloth, only to get to know that my husband was lying down dead. This was the most difficult moment of my life, as a young lady. Just 3 days to my white wedding, and here is my husband lying down dead. I isolated myself from going out in public. Because my life was shattered. How was I going to appear before people? I couldn't bear the thought of others calling me all sorts of names. So, I remained indoors for almost about a month after his funeral was done. His family members told me that I am too young to go through the tradition of becoming a widow, so I should go out and if I meet someone that I feel I want to settle down with him, I can go ahead with and they will never question me. But then, I told them that I will go through with the tradition and customs. He married me a traditional way, it wasn't like I was not his wife. He did come to my family and asked for my hand in marriage from my father. So, I was his wife. And for that reason, I pleaded with them to let me finish the 1 year of the widow rite as our custom demands. They agreed and I went on with the rites until the 1 year for the rite was over. I was done with the widowhood rite. In about 8 months or so after everything, my friend came to tell me that a friend of her is in the United Kingdom who saw my picture on her WhatsApp status and took a liking to me. She said that our friend asked for more of my pictures, and when she sent them to him, he expressed the desire to meet me in person. When she told me this, at first, I was not interested in anything with regards to relationship. After what I went through. But then my friend convinced me to start a conversation with Guy. Which I also did. H told me he was coming back from United Kingdom just to meet me and my family. So that I will know how serious he was about his intentions to be with me. By this time, we had been talking on phone for more than 5 months. So, true to his words, he came and brought his people to see my family. At first, I didn't like the idea, but then seeing him and getting to know how serious he was about me, I gave him my consent. He said he didn't want any white wedding. So, we did our traditional marriage and I became his wife. He stayed for about a month, and he went back to prepare my documents so I can travel over there to be with him. So, I was also working on my documents as well. Going from one office to the other, at his order. I could really see the joy in the faces of my parents whenever I visit them. At this time, I was in his house that he had bought. I was staying with his sister, all by ourselves in the house. So, sometimes my mother or his mother will come visit us. This was a beautiful thing that every woman prays for. A nice husband, who understands her and cares for her needs. This was just a miracle in my life. It was just a picture that he saw, and that was the connection. I remember this day very well. It was Friday when I had finished cooking for my mother-in-law. She had come to visit us, in her son's house. We received a phone call from UK that my husband had committed suicide. This news came like a lightning ball. It struck me hard that for about 1 to 2 months, I didn't know what I was doing or where I was. I was after this period when I became okay, that I was told I nearly went mad. Only me, a young lady. In about 2 to 3 years, I have married twice and all the men are dead. This was a bad omen for me. So, I became a church rat. My life was all about church. From my work, then to church. That was all the life I knew. During this time, something funny started happening to me. I don't know where it came from. I started having this strong feeling for my pastor. This was the same pastor that officiated my 2 marriages. One day, I went to him in the house and told him that I liked him and wanted us to make love. He laughed and told me that he knew I would come asking for that. I didn't the comment he made serious. All I cared was to quench the fire that was burning in me, which was to sleep with him. So, we started having a romantic affair. And in no time, I was pregnant. When I told him about the pregnancy, he asked me not to abort it. But then when I am asked who is responsible for it, I should tell them that my baby daddy is in USA. Because what has happened to me, I didn't want any marriage again. So, I have chosen to have a child and take care of my child without any marriage issues again. It sounded right in my ears. So, I kept the pregnancy. And for that, if you ask me about the father of the child, I will tell you same as the pastor had told me. I had my first child and we went on with our relationship till I had another child with him. My parents all this while were asking and telling me they wanted to see the man or talk to him. So, they at least will know the person responsible for my children. So, I told the pastor about it and he went in for a foreign number. As to how he got it, I tell you, I don't have any idea. So, he will call my parents and talk to them with the foreign number, acting like he is actually in USA. This went on till one day, I heard that he was about to get married. But then, this was a man who was not giving me enough money for our 2 children. He will always tell you that, in the right time when everything works out well, I will enjoy. Because I am the mother of his children. But here is this same man, my pastor who doubles as my boyfriend or something like that, about to get married to another woman. I didn't know whether I should confront him or not, since whatever we were doing was in the dark. How was I going to explain it to my parents if they find out about my relationship with the pastor? I gathered courage and went to his house to ask him about what I was hearing. He told me it was not true and that, if he was going to get married to anyone, it should be me. Because I am the one he has children with. After this encounter, I felt whatever I heard about that marriage as all lies. Until I saw an invitation on a friend's phone that had the pastor's name and one other lady in our church name on it.
As I always say, these are not just stories for story's sake. They are meant for us not to make these mistakes our brothers and sisters are making. That's why we share these stories with you. In life, there is more to life than what we see with our naked eyes. So, if you're a Christian, Muslim, traditionalist, or any other religion that you belong to, please, my brother or sister, try and be closer to your Creator. So that, the protection that will spell away any demonic or spiritual manipulations will be fruitless in your life. As a lady, it's good to live good and be treated like a queen. But in doing so, my sisters, let's be vigilant a little. Pray, meditate and do what your religion requires you to in order to be strong in the spirit. I hope we've all learnt one or two from the story. As I always say, we are not here to race with ourselves. So, please let's be mindful of the choices that we make. Thanks for being a part of this growing family. Kindly share your thought with us in the comment section below. And if you are new here, please subscribe, like and share. See you in the continuation of this story. Stay blessed and be safe.